Hey everybody, Chuck Holton coming to you live from Panama in my studio here, getting ready for church, and woke up this morning to the terrible news of a massacre that took place in Australia at Bondi Beach down in New South Wales, in which the casualty figures are actually still coming in. They believe at least 12 people have died and about 30 more have been wounded. This is by a pair of attackers that one of them has been identified as being from Pakistan. They were dressed in black. They walked out on a, here, I've got video of this. I'm going to try to get through all this very quickly. I'm not going to take questions today because I've got to get this done and get off to church. But just try to get the facts out to you as fast as I can here. And so we'll see. Oh, wait, that's not it. Wrong one. Um, Here it is. This one. Now I'm going to turn the sound way down on this. You can see the guys, the two guys up there on a bridge, and what they're doing is they're shooting into a large crowd of people down at the beach, and they have multiple firearms. You can see he left one on the ground there, and he's going to come back for it later. Uh, this goes on for a good 15 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. And some of the bystanders that saw what was going on said that there were police there that were armed and they were cowering and hiding, and they did not actually take those down. Actually, somebody eventually shot both of the assailants. One of them was deceased right away. The other one was just wounded and ended up giving himself up. And what you'll see is a female. Yeah, I'm going to have to fast forward this because this goes on and on and on for a long time, and they walk back and forth. And here's where the police show up, and so that's where the guy got shot. But he ends up giving himself. Here comes a female police officer. Let's make that bigger. Female police officer tries to take him into custody. Here's a bystander who's just punching the snot out of the remaining live terrorist. And that guy was actually arrested for assaulting the terrorist later on. They tracked him down at his home and arrested him because he punched and kicked the terrorist as they were trying to detain him. And you can see even this, they're kind of fighting with a bunch of bystanders because they are, just so upset at what's going on. They eventually push all the bystanders away and kind of get control of the scene. And, they take this guy into custody. He's wounded. One of the terrorists has been identified, as I said, by name. This is him here, Navid Akram. And this is when he passed his tajweed. Tajweed is where they learn to pronounce the Quran correctly. They believe that the Quran is the actual word of Allah, and that even mispronouncing a word would be blasphemy, and you probably would kill you for that, knowing Muslims. And so you have to learn to say each word in Arabic now. You can't learn to say it in any other language because God doesn't speak any language but Arabic, apparently. But you have to pronounce it exactly correctly. And so they learn like every single letter, every letter combination on how to pronounce them. That's the tajweed. And so this guy had just recently done that. Uh, of course, you would imagine there's a very large presence of Jews uh, in New South Wales, and they were actually down at the beach having a Hanukkah celebration and something like a bar mitzvah, something like that, a Hanukkah party. There's some video of that. I can turn that down a little bit. You can see them running as you can hear the shots in the background. People running, sirens, absolute chaos, and they're firing into this large crowd from down the beach. So people are running to get away. Absolutely terrible stuff. Horrific. Horrific. I'm going to just get through this real quick. And so you can here's a commentary from a bystander. You have to listen real carefully to him. You can't hear him great, but
Yes, it was two shooters, one on the bridge, one under the bridge, and just start to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody gave fire back. Nothing. Like they are froze. Like for it looked like 20 minutes. Like and they shoot. The guy changed magazine. I look at him all the time. I was doing my babies under me, and I look at that, and it's just rifle and a pistol, and just shoot. And the other one was under. They start to come close to the audience. I think one of the people took his rifle and shoot him. That's one of them. That's what I saw. I didn't know how much I saw, but
who were they targeting?
oh, all the crowd, anyone, Jewish, just shoot. Doesn't matter who. Men, all kids, everyone was no.
Did they say anything?
I couldn't hear. Like the shooting was so loud, we couldn't hear if they say. I was.
so I'm going to just stop it right there. That goes on for some time, but he's talking about a man that took away a weapon from one of the terrorists. And I'm going to show you that here in a minute. This guy's a hero. There's no question about that. However, he took the terrorist's gun away and then did not shoot him with it. He pointed it at him, but it's probably good for him.
Oh!
You see here, I'm going to start that over. He runs from behind that car
Oh!
and tackles the terrorist, takes his gun away,
Oh non, gros!
points it at him. The terrorist falls down. He just points the gun at him, gets back up. It looks like a tactical shotgun, by the way. Looks like a tactical shotgun. The terrorist just backs up and walks off, and then the guy quickly puts the gun down, which was probably smart, so he didn't get himself shot. But this terrorist actually had more guns, so he went back and picked up another gun. Somebody throws a shoe at him or something. So he runs up back to the bridge over here where he has more firearms, picks up another gun, and continues to shoot people. So pretty insane. I mean, obviously, this is the gun control paradise of Australia, where they have followed the path of let's make everybody more vulnerable so that everybody will be safer. And you can see how well that worked out for all these people right there. How many concealed carriers do you think there would have been if that was in Texas or in Florida or someplace, West Virginia, who would have taken care of that problem much sooner and probably saved a lot of lives? The Even the police were reticent to shoot back at the terrorists there. They are. This is what you call emasculating an entire culture, folks. Now that guy was a hero. He put his life on the line to save others. He disarmed the terrorists. That's exactly what every man there should have been doing. This is what I've said all along, that whenever there is a active violent situation, they always tell you run, hide, fight. That should be completely wrong. It should be fight first. At least if you're a man, you should be tackling the assailant. And if everybody does that, somebody might get shot, but not everybody's going to get shot. And, would you rather a man get shot trying to disarm the assailant, or a bunch of women and children get shot because the men are running away? This is they actually did an entire episode of the Young Turks, Sank Uyghur or whatever that guy's name is. When I said that one time, they did a whole episode of their show about me and how ridiculous could it be to encourage people to attack an assailant that's armed. Well, if you don't, this is what happens. They know for a fact that at least one child was killed in this melee that happened in Australia. And Australia has done two things that have caused major problems for their country. Number one is unchecked migration, and lots of migration from Muslim countries. And they've been very politically correct about it. And so, oh no, we welcome everybody. But this is what it looked like. So you want to know what the sentiment is among the Muslim population in Australia. You only have to look at this video from October 8th, 2023, the day after the October 7th massacre in Israel, from the capital city here. Take a look. So these are large group of Muslims with lots of police there, by the way, calling for death of Jews and waving ISIS flags, Palestinian flags, Hamas flags in there. And we'll stop it at that because they get into some profanities and stuff there. But so this is Australia today for you. And you have such a flaccid government there that they're just allowing this. And their answer to this is let's make all of our people more vulnerable by taking away their right to defend themselves. In fact, as I said, the one bystander who ran up and started punching the assailant as he was trying to give himself up was arrested himself. So there's that. That's actually unbelievable. For their part, so what you would want to see in a civilized society would be the group, the in group that the assailants belong to would be renouncing those people, calling for an end to the violence, would be calling for investigations, would be saying absolutely we denounce that, we do not have any part in that kind of violence. And instead, here's what you get in Brisbane Muslims. Allah salam alaikum, brothers. In light of recent events in Bondi, it's vital that we stand together. If you experience or witness Islamophobia, please contact the Islamophobia hotline to support or report incidents. Yeah, so they'll go get you removed if you, let's say, see a Muslim guy walking down the street and you cross the street to the other side with your family because you don't want to get shot or stabbed by somebody like that. They that would be Islamophobia. They'd come arrest you for that. It's the same kind of thing that would happen in the UK as well. Now, there's I want to get to talking about what we talked about yesterday with the attack on U.S. troops in Syria. Before I do that, I want to pull up. Where'd that go? Nate, did you just delete that page? No? Maybe I did. Whoops. Okay, let me share my screen again. I guess I did. There it is. This is a picture of the assailant that is being shown around holding a gun. It looks like now the weapons that were used look to be like deer hunting rifles, maybe like a Mini 14, perhaps. One of them looked like a tactical shotgun, the one that was taken away from that guy. And the bystander said they had pistols as well. The news is reporting that they also found improvised explosive devices in their cars that didn't go off. So these guys were apparently taken out before that happened, before they were able to detonate those explosive devices. Okay, so let's see if we can wrap that up. Okay, here's the scene of them getting arrested. Let's see if we can pull this one up here. This is the scene of them being arrested. You see the female.
Fucking bash him!
So then they start kissing. Forgive me for that profanity there. But but the guy comes up and kicks him in the head. That's the guy that got arrested there. And so, yeah, not appropriate for you to take matters into your own hands, especially when the police are already on him. But you can understand that they would be very emotional about that for sure. So, I'm not going to be answering questions today. I just don't have time. I got to get all this. I got to get through all this and get out of here. So I'm sorry about that, but thank you for asking them. How do those guns get into the country? There are still a lot of guns in Australia. They say that when they passed the laws banning guns in Australia, that Home Depot sold out of 6-inch PVC. That means that people were buying lengths of 6-inch PVC to put their guns in and then bury them. So there are still guns in Australia. Just it's very difficult to get them legally. And obviously, as we always say, bad guys don't follow the rules. And so if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. That's the truth. Now, but I want to move over to what happened yesterday. I came on at the end of the live I did last night and said that they had identified the assailant. Now, the U.S. government had been putting out that the 2 U.S. troops were killed and one American interpreter was killed by ISIS fighter, a lone ISIS fighter. Apparently, they had gotten out of their armored vehicles to do a key leader engagement, which is what they were doing in Palmyra at the time in Syria. And when they got out of the vehicles, this guy opened fire on them, and they eventually shot back and killed him. But he managed to kill 3 and wound 3 more, and I think wound a couple of the Syrians as well that were standing around. Well, as it turns out, this guy was not a lone ISIS fighter. And now the government didn't lie to you. He was affiliated with ISIS. And what they didn't tell you is that this guy was also on Jelani's staff. This is the assailant here. Uh, this guy was high up in Jelani's organization, was there at the key leader meeting, supposed to be meeting with American commanders. They were from the, I think, Ohio National Guard or Iowa National Guard who were there. And this picture was just taken shortly before the attack, apparently at the location. So that's the guy right there. Now, what we know about him so far uh, is that this guy ambushed these Americans. He was known to the Syrian regime. So Al Sharaz guys knew about him and knew that he was an ISIS affiliate, and he was in the government. And they came out after he was killed at the end of that event and said, "Well, we were planning on firing him tomorrow, actually, and so we knew about him, and we just didn't get a chance to fire him fast enough." That sounds like a pretty lame excuse to me, but President Trump came out and said there will be massive retaliation for this. As I said, if this was a lone ISIS fighter, then really all the U.S. could do is continue to go after ISIS as best they can. Apparently, last night they had some pretty major firepower dumping ordnance over Palmyra. There's a video here. Let's see if I can pull this one up. This is a video from Palmyra, apparently last night, of U.S. aircraft dropping ordnance. Looks like it's dropping flares, actually. Yeah, those were either flares or were chaff, meaning the aircraft was afraid it was being targeted and was releasing chaff to get to confuse any ground-to-air missile or something like that. But they had jets in the area. Apparently, they had A-10 Warthogs, which are fearsome machines that were in there, and U.S. Special Operations troops showed up, probably Rangers, I would say, and started doing operations inside Palmyra. Palmyra is not a large city, so this may be ongoing. I don't know, but President Trump was, very much pressured to actually look like he did something about it. I don't know if anything really came of that. This just goes to show what we've been saying is that you can put a suit on a jihadi and he's still a jihadi. For the United States to engage in this wishful thinking of saying that, oh my goodness, the new regime is going to be so great and we're going to get lots of business deals out of them. And we're going to lift sanctions and everything's going to be hunky dory and they're going to join the Abraham Accords and et cetera, all that. Well, here is some footage from Deir ez-Zor, which, as I showed you yesterday, is nearby Palmyra. It's kind of part of that square that is still very heavily infested with Islamic State. And this purports to be from Deir ez-Zor, of one of the Arab militias in Deir ez-Zor, that is, well, I'll just let you watch here. Let's see here. There we go.
غزة 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 شعار قصف ودمار تكبير تكبير
It looks like maybe about 1,000 guys there all together. It's hard to tell. But if that was in Deir ez-Zor, what they're saying is that they're going to march on Jerusalem. They're going to march on Israel. They're, hey, Israel, look out. We're going to repeat the ancient massacre of Jewish tribes. And this is in Deir ez-Zor. So there were also videos going around X, and I haven't been able to corroborate them, but they were showing fireworks being lit off in somewhere in Syria last night as Muslims were celebrating the attacks and the murder of 3 American citizens in that country. So, yeah, this is what coexist looks like in 2025. One other thing I wanted to get to, and that is there was a shooting at Brown University. Actually, 2 other things I want to get to. One of them is the shooting at Brown University. There are multiple dead, two people dead so far, and I think about 6 or 9 wounded in that shooting. This is in Providence, Rhode Island, another state in the United States that has very, very, very strict gun laws. And so we had a mass shooting there, and the person of interest apparently has been they've arrested a person of interest. They don't know if it's the shooter yet or not. The shooter got away, and they've been looking for him since that happened last night. 6 hours after that happened, the president of the university, Brown University, this lady, still had no idea what had happened, no idea what was going on. She was clueless in why they trot her out in a press conference when she doesn't know anything. It doesn't make any sense to me. But as I keep saying, you need a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. That's a foregone conclusion that has been proven so many times. And so making everybody more vulnerable by trying to take all the guns away is actually making everybody less safe, making them less safe. Now, I also want to point out that if you recall, a couple months ago, I had a guy on named Hillel Fuld from Tel Aviv, and he was saying that he believed that there would be a mass casualty attack against Jews somewhere in the world in the next month. Well, he was off by about a month, but that wasn't difficult to predict. And it's not difficult to predict that these will continue as well, because I can tell you that extremist Muslims around the world, although they are a small percentage of the total of Muslims, if they're 10%, that's 2 to 300 million extremists in the world. And whatever number that is for real, they are very encouraged by what they're seeing in Syria and in Australia and in the United States. Now, on top of that, if you've been watching my show, you saw that I did lives about the attacks on Christmas happening in Europe and in the United States. Well, there was another news item that was in my feed this morning. 5 men have been arrested in Bavaria, in Germany, for plotting a large scale attack, a vehicle ramming attack on a Christmas market there. This is, and it turns out these 5 men were from Syria and Morocco and places like that. So obviously a jihadi attack that was thwarted, thank God, in that case. And so, again, you don't have to be a prophet to predict things like this, like I did on my live last week talking about it. It's just it's easy to see, if the conditions are right and the forest is dry and everything's a powder keg, all it takes is a spark. And there are people out there that are throwing sparks like crazy. And so it's not difficult to predict that this is going to continue. Okay, so just to reiterate what happened in Australia, in let's see, we'll share this one. I'll just show you where it is on the map. This is in New South Wales, down here in the southeastern part of Australia, and Bondi Beach is right here. And this is where the shooting took place, right there on that beach. So, 2 assailants were uh, two assailants approached the beach as there were a large crowd of people celebrating Hanukkah, and so a bunch of Jewish people there. These guys approached with multiple weapons, fired those weapons at the crowd from a good distance away, but managed to kill at least 12 and wound almost 30 in that melee there. Now, I also want to show the takedown of this uh, guy once again. This is again the Australian hero who tackled a guy with a gun and then refrained from shooting the guy with it and allowed him to go back and pick up another gun and continue fighting until that guy was later killed by, I guess, probably a police officer. So you see here, this guy tackles the guy with the gun as he's shooting and takes the gun away, points it at him, and the terrorist, he doesn't shoot him. He just points it at him. The terrorist gets up and walks away. Another bystander comes up and throws something at the terrorist, like, get out of here, you. And then he quickly holds up his arm and puts the gun down. And he probably, who knows, that guy might get arrested for assaulting the terrorist. Who knows? But that terrorist went back over to the bridge where they had more firearms. And of course, his buddy is up there still shooting at people. You see that? And there are people on the ground underneath the bridge who are, I don't know if they were shot or if they're just playing dead down there. But so that was the scene in Bondi Beach, New South Wales, Australia, earlier today, just a few hours ago. There is a video that shows what the what the scene looked like before that happened. Let's see if I can find that one real quick, because it just shows you how sad this is. I mean, yeah, here it is. This guy is here. I'll share that screen with you. And so this is what it looked like before the shooting. You can put that up, Nate.
Just to feel Hanukkah.
And they're eating donuts. See the little kids. Okay, so that's what it looked like down there before. You see the little kids in that really sad. So that's what I've got so far. I'm going to end it there because again I've got to get to church here in a few minutes. But thank you very much for watching. Let's just say a prayer for the people in around the world who are being affected by these things real quick. Lord God, I would just come to you right now, and our hearts are just broken watching this mayhem take place all around the world. Lord, I pray that you would raise up more people like that hero who are willing to put themselves at risk to attack the evil and put a stop to it. I pray that you would comfort the families of those who have been hurt or killed in these attacks. And Lord, I pray that you would give our leaders wisdom in how to respond in a way that would deter these attacks in the future. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, folks, thank you for watching. Please go to chuckholton.com if you want to see more. I can put the long version of the video of this attack over at chuckholton.com real quick if you want to see that. But I appreciate all of the support and comments and that sort of thing. So we will see you again next time. Take care.